Hey everyone, this is Crystal, and today I am sharing week 27 in my 2020 Project Life album. For this week's spread, I've created just a little stash kit, just using some supplies I had at hand. I went through my Project Life cards and pulled out a few that I thought would work with the colors in this spread and with the themes that I had to talk about. And then I also went through my embellishments, my ephemera, and pulled out things mostly by color. There were a couple that were pretty specific that I thought worked really well. And then I just grabbed a few different alphas, some puffy stickers, and some chipboard pieces that you'll see here in a bit. Not a lot to choose from. I wanted to keep it fairly simple so that I could get this done fairly quickly. And I do end up pulling some stamps in as well, but you'll see those in a little bit. Right now, I am just trying to find out which of these cards work best with the photos that I have. So being a little bit indecisive, I'm trying to get a good balance. It feels very white to me at the moment, which makes that Living My Best Life card, which is a Studio Calico card, one of the Studio Calico digitals I recently purchased. It makes that stand out. So I needed something else with a bit more weight. I ended up going with that lighter blue pattern card. That and all the rest of the cards are from Citrus Twist Kits, just in case you are interested. This is the little pile of ephemera that I chose to work with this week. You can see a few of them are pretty specific, like that apple and pear die cut that I just put down on my photo of some pear cider that was gifted to me. Otherwise, there's just lots of labels and things that are just in this color scheme of kind of a blue, green, and red, which are really the colors I pulled from my photos. So just playing around, seeing what works. I'm doing my normal thing of just kind of plopping things down, and I will go back and sort through those later on to figure out which ones I actually want to use here. So I'm starting with the ephemera, going through it, and then I will kind of narrow that down and look at the other embellishments that I have to play with as well. So while I'm kind of doing that, I thought I could talk to you a little bit about the pictures and the stories I'm telling this week. So I have a photo of me in my mask that was on a shopping trip to prepare for our vacation this year. This is the week leading up to our vacation to Michigan. We actually drove to Michigan. We didn't want to do any sort of vacation where we had to fly, but northern Michigan is definitely driving distance for us. So we went up there to Sleeping Bear Dunes. We rented a house this time with another couple who had been social distancing as well. So we felt pretty safe, and we did a lot of cooking at home. So I did lots of grocery shopping before we went so that we wouldn't be forced to go out in public much while we were there, and we could make sure we didn't expose ourselves too much. So that's what that photo is. There's a photo of the dogs in the car on the way up there. We left on Friday. Yes. So that's the last photo that I used from this week. And then the next week, I'll talk about the time we were on vacation. The rest of the photos are of our front door. We had one of our friends come and watch our cats while we were away. So I needed to show her how to use our keyless entry. So I took a photo of it so that I could kind of walk her through how to use it, and thought that would be kind of fun to include that story and how much having a keyless entry makes it so much easier to have people come over and watch our house while we're gone. The photo of the cider is a gift that is actually a Michigan cider that was gifted to us right before we left. And then there's a photo of one of our cats, Scrunchy, sleeping on my desk while I was working, and then a photo of some cheese at Walmart because I thought it was hilarious. I don't shop at Walmart very often, and I sometimes find it funny what you can find there. So I've been shopping there more now because it's one of the only places in town, and I haven't really wanted to go outside of town to do any sort of shopping. So I've had to go a few more times. I had to go this day while I was shopping for vacation and found this humongous can of cheese, and yeah, thought that was funny, so I took a photo of it. Okay, so I've kind of gotten everything narrowed down to what I actually want to use here. I'm working on my title card now. I'm using those alphas from Studio Calico. They're Color Theory alphas. to spell out week, and then I played around with how to get the numbers. So there weren't any numbers on that particular alpha sheet, but there were some numbers on some of the other alpha sheets that I had. I end up going with this one. They're the same color, navy blue. These are foam and the other ones are cardstock. So it adds a little bit of dimension here as well, and they fit perfectly in that little spot between the word week and the printed on label where I'm going to stamp my dates. So I was just playing around with what I could use to fill in some of the blank space here, and whether I wanted to use the printed label or whether I wanted to cover that up with another label. I end up just using the one that's on there and just creating a little cluster in the top right corner to add a little bit more interest to this card. I'm going to use a little ticket from Citrus Twist and a flag that's an old Ellie Studio die cut, and then a little circle with a heart in it that I think is also Citrus Twist. So this is pretty much how it's going to look. I do add a few more things as we keep going, but mostly this is going to be it. So it came together pretty quickly this week. I think it took the most time just to kind of glue everything down and get everything situated exactly how I wanted it, and then going through the embellishments again just to make sure there wasn't anything else that I could add and use up and fill in spaces. I do end up adding some of the puffy stickers, as you'll see here in just a minute, but mostly this is how the spread is going to look. So there's that little cluster all done. I just need to add my date stamps. I end up using my tiny date stamp. This is one I got from Amazon. It's a very small version of a regular date stamp, and that label is really tiny. So I knew I would need this small stamp to be able to fit both dates on it, and I totally stamped the wrong date. So I didn't realize it until I went to take the photos that I stamped July 15th instead of July 5th, but it's actually supposed to be June 29th through July 5th, not 15th. I'm probably just going to leave it because I'm not really sure how I would go back and fix it now. I don't want to add another label, and it's not white, so I can't just white it out. So it's probably just going to stay that way, and oh well, I will have a laugh about it later on if I happen to remember. So I'm just going to work through the cards now and get everything adhered down. For these 3 pockets that are 4x6 but actually have 3x4 cards in them, I'm just gluing them down to some old 4x6 grid cards. These have rounded corners, so I don't really use them anymore except for things like this, either to cut them down or to use to hold these 3x4 cards and photos in place in the pocket so that they don't move around. And then I'm just creating that little cluster there at the top. I will go back and fill in some of the rest of the space that's there here in just a little bit, but for now that's what I'm going to leave it at. I'm adding a label to this photo and a hard pass die cut from Citrus Twist. That is the cheese photo. I did not get it straight, and I thought, okay, I'm just going to leave it and live with it, but I go back and fix it because it was bothering me too much. I couldn't just leave it. But moving on to this one, I added a circle label beneath my photo just to give me some place to add a couple lines of journaling, and then I'm going to layer up this really perfect green apple and pear die cut with this little flag that says hello, or arrow that is, that says hello. I will again add another puffy sticker to that one as well. For this one, I'm just doing the same thing, adding a label and a little flag that says awesome to the top of this photo. I had to be a little bit careful. I didn't want to cover up too much of her face, but that was really the only place I could add that awesome label, and I really wanted to use it. So I made it work. And then again for this one, kind of doing the same thing, just creating a little cluster of 2 things there on that photo to add just a little bit of something. And again, doing the same thing, adding it to one of those grid cards to make it fit inside the 4x6 pocket, and then doing the same thing with the last one. So I haven't had nearly as many 4x6 photos as I thought I would this year. I'm definitely glad I'm using this page protector format because it does give me the option of adding a 4x6 photo if I do have one, even on the back side of each of these weeks. But yeah, I don't have very many. I don't take very many landscape oriented photos these days since I take photos exclusively with my iPhone. Okay, so now I've grabbed the puffy stickers. I'm just trying to find a few places to add a couple of them here and there just for a little bit more interest. That was a super old Citrus Twist Kit set that I used a couple from, and then I will add a couple of hearts, I think, from one of these puffy sticker sets as well. I do also add one of these stickers from Studio Calico. I thought about adding it there in the center of the heart, but it just stood out too much. It covered up too much of that heart. So I'm going to add it to the bottom of this photo instead, and it needed a little bit something else to help it stand out, so I just grabbed another label and I will glue that down there on that photo in just a minute. I really wanted to include this little chipboard piece, but it was really the only chipboard on this sheet that would have worked, and it just kind of stood out like a sore thumb no matter where I put it, so I don't end up using it. I'll add it back to the sheet and save it for a future project. And then, like I said, a couple of these puffy hearts just because you can't finish a layout without a puffy heart. And I thought about adding a staple, but my stapler was out of staples and I couldn't find my refills. I have no idea what I did with them, but they were not where I thought they were or anywhere nearby. So I don't end up adding any staples to this one. Maybe if I find my refills, I will go back and add a few. But yeah, I have no idea where they went to. So we'll see. Uh, so I'm just adding a couple hearts, like I said, and I will come in with some stamps here in just a minute. Okay, so I went away and grabbed a few different sets. These are all from Citrus Twist Kits. I just looked through some of the most recent ones and grabbed the first ones that I saw that had a relevant stamp. So I didn't do a lot of searching. I decided to just make these few work. I only have a few spots that I wanted to stamp in anyway, and you know, they all have pretty generic statements. So I was able to make these three sets work. So I stamped "Well Hello" under hard pass, and then I will add a stamp to the journaling card next to my mask photo as well. There's a little kind of blank space in the bottom of that journal card, so that seemed like a perfect place for some stamps. I'll also stamp on two of the labels that I have here, the one on the picture of our front door and the one of our cat scrunchie. So just looking for a couple other stamps that will work. There was a stamp set about being at home, and I don't remember what the name of the kit was, but there was a stamp on it that said "curled up here," so I thought that was pretty perfect for this photo. So I just had to move that puffy heart over just a little bit to get that stamp down, but it fit perfectly on that label. And then for the one that is the label that's on the picture of our door, I think I find one that says "We keep it real" or something like that. And I stamped that underneath that little currently flag. And then finally on that mask photo, I stamp something like "Today I'm feeling just fine," I believe is what it says. So I'm using some gray ink for this. I thought black would be a little bit too bold on this layout. I don't have any other black here, just navy blue and gray, so I decided to go with gray. I did at first think about using navy blue, which is what I used to stamp the dates, but I decided to go with gray just to make it a little bit more subtle. And then I think that that is it for stamping. I think I am pretty much done. I just gave the stamp sets one quick last look to see if there's anything else I want to include. And then I think I'm going to call this week done. So there are lots of close-up photos, as always, coming up. I hope that you were able to find some inspiration. Oh, I did add one more stamp to the center of that heart. I stamped "So much to do." Uh, okay, so lots of close-up photos coming up. I hope you found some inspiration here for using up your own stash. If you have any questions about anything that I've done or anything I've used, please feel free to ask them in the comments down below, and I will be sure to get back to you. Anything that is available, I will link in the description box so that you can go find it for yourself. Thank you all so much for watching, and I will see you back here very soon.